It can be a lonely journey. And I think that's when I realized that speaking up is how I wanted to take that journey forward. It was my learning, probably my calling, where I felt like even if by speaking up, if I was able to impact just one life, the purpose would be served. Where in 2022, I never imagined that today, if you asked me in 2014, would I be sitting here having this conversation with you about the incredible work the foundation has done? No. At that point, it was really about just doing one interview on a national television or one interview just to be able to reach out to as many people as possible and share my experience. And then when I did that, it didn't feel to me like the journey ended there. It felt like just the beginning. It felt like there was so much more to say and so much more to do. And that culminated into the foundation and all of the work that we do today.
Wow. If we just go back, and you do so much excellent work with this, I think like you're saying, if it can impact even one life, of course, when you spoke about it publicly, before that, you had to speak about it privately because we all acknowledge it and you reach out to somebody, friend, whoever, to talk about it. And I think that's the first step that people find very difficult to make. So if you can just talk to people about that, did you face any resistance? Did you face acceptance? What happens in that first step?
So I give all the credit to my mother for recognizing the signs and symptoms. Because it just happened out of the blue. I was on a career high, everything was going well, so there was no reason or no apparent reason why I should have felt the way I was feeling. But I would break down, for no reason. I would feel there were days when I just didn't want to wake up. I would just sleep because sleep for me was an escape. I was suicidal at times. And so having to deal with all of that, and when my parents live in Bangalore, and every time they sort of visited me, even now when they visit me, I always put on a brave front, like everything is okay, and you always want to show your parents that you're fine, and so I was doing one of those things of like, I'm fine, until, they were leaving one day, they were going back to Bangalore, and I broke down, and my mother asked me the usual hygiene questions like, is it a boyfriend? Is it someone at work? Has something happened? And I just didn't have answers. It was none of these things. And it just came from a really empty, hollow place. And she knew instantly. And I think that for me was God sent. And I really hope, and I think that's one of the reasons why I set up the foundation, for us to be able to create that awareness, to be sensitive to the people around us, to look around us. If someone's feeling low, don't just pat them on the back and say, hey, you know what, it's going to be okay, or, hey, you'll be fine, or just listen to this music or play some upbeat music and think that everything's going to be okay. If you feel, and this is for everyone in this room, if you feel for a prolonged period of time, which is more than 3 weeks, if you feel a feeling of low or sadness, it is recommended that you see a psychiatrist or at least see a counselor. And my theory is always, I'd rather be overcautious than not. It's the same way when you have, when you have a stomach bug, or, you go and see a general practitioner. You can also go and see a general practitioner. That's one of the things that we do. We're capacity building for our country because we do not have enough mental health professionals to serve the 1.3, 1.4 billion people. So one of the things that we do is capacity building by educating general practitioners. So I'd say don't ignore the signs and symptoms. Don't ignore when someone's telling you they're feeling low or not feeling okay. Don't sort of brush it off by saying it's just a one-off. So coming back to this, yes, it's my mother who recognized that I needed help. I spoke to a counselor who I knew. Again, I was fortunate to have known someone within our family circle. And from my voice, she could tell that I needed professional help. And then the journey went on. I was put on to a psychiatrist, medication. That sort of went back and forth for many months. I was resistant to that because there was so much stigma attached, A, to mental illness, B, to, you always have these sort of ideas that you don't want to take medication to do with the mind and with the brain, and you're going to lose control. And so that went on for a couple of months. Until I finally started taking medication and I started feeling better and so on. So and yes, it was the immediate people around me knew, but at that point I wasn't ready to tell very many people. It's after I recovered, after many, many months, when I was sitting back and just thinking about this experience that I'd been through, that I felt like I wanted to share my journey with the world.
And through this entire period, I think we can give a round of applause for that, please, everyone. And through this entire period, you're getting up every morning and you're still having to put on the war paint and the smiles for the world because you've got to act in movies, you've got to sell movies, you've got to sell products, you're on this high. Geez, on a scale of 1 to 10, what was that difficulty level?
Oh, very difficult.
11?
Very difficult. Yeah, I mean, I can't even put a number to it. To just have to wake up every morning and to breathe, to eat, to just do the basics was a struggle. So you can imagine having to put myself out there, be at events, engage with people, perform. Obviously took a lot.
So I'm thinking the vision and the mission of the foundation, as you have said, from the time you started it to now, it's obviously grown so much. So what is the vision and the mission now of the foundation at this moment?
It is to give hope, because like I said earlier, it can be a lonely journey. And we're here to say you are not alone. We're here to say we're in this together. When I say we, I mean us, those who experience mental illness, our caregivers, because we believe that they're an equally important part of this journey, and society and community at large. And so giving hope to every person experiencing stress, anxiety, and depression, and to let you know that we're not alone. And it stemmed from the one line, which was, when I put my mind to it, I said, I don't want even one life to be lost because of mental illness.
Wow, beautiful. What you did this, that you started this, and it's truly helping people.
Every day. There's not a day that goes by when a person doesn't come up to me and talk about an interview that I did, or something that they read or something that they saw that prompted them to seek help, or encouraged them to tell someone they know to seek help, that they felt better, that they're on the journey to recovery. And each one of us in the foundation experience that on a daily basis. There's somebody or the other who'll always acknowledge the work that we've done. And that for us is the most fulfilling part. We can have numbers on a slide and talk about how many lives we want to impact in the next 5 or 10 years. Those are all long-term goals. But it is those everyday moments when you meet someone, when they say we saw an interview, or we saw this post on social media, or there was this one kid who came and said, I couldn't explain to my parents, I wanted to seek help, but I couldn't explain to my parents what I was going through. And I made them sit down and watch your interview. And after they watched your interview, they understood what I was going through, and they allowed me to go and see a psychiatrist. Those are the moments we live for.
That's absolutely beautiful. There really is. It's okay. We need to. I'm going to ask you a few questions that I know the crowd really wants to ask you, and this is a question that I know she's been asked 100 times, and that's why I'm going to change the question.
My most favorite movie?
No.
Okay.
It's the same vein.
Oh,
it is.
that, okay.
It's like they're like, if you were not an actor, what would you be? So I've changed it to, if you were not a badminton player, what would you be? Because that means you can't say badminton player.
But badminton would not have been my answer.
Oh, we have something new coming.
Yeah.
So let's just, guys, just rewind, just delete. Let's do a little Christopher Nolan here. Just delete that. So Deepika, the question is, if you were not an actor, what would you be?
I would have probably been an interior designer. Yeah, that's something I've always been very, very passionate
There's somebody
about.
who's just bought a new apartment who's very excited. It's like, you get blue curtain.
I'm happy to render free services. That's how passionate I am about interior design. I've always been, even as a kid. And at one point, I did have this plan to go to like some like design school abroad.
Wow.
And yeah.
Can I just collectively say we are very happy you didn't make that decision? We are very happy that
But I channelize my energies now differently. Like I do up the home and I keep changing things around and I have fun with it.
Please do all those things, but don't stop doing films ever, right? So that's all. We are all very selfish people. We only care about that. Okay, I was not going to ask you your favorite film, but now I feel like we should ask her, no? Favorite character? Can we ask favorite character? Because film becomes like, oh no, you said something about the director and about the other. So favorite
Boils
character.
down to the same thing. It's like, oh, she chose this character over that character.
Okay, so I'll make it a very harmless, innocuous question. The favorite character you enjoyed playing?
I'd have to say it's very difficult though. I mean, it's like saying choose this child over that child. But if I really had to choose, and you guys are putting me in the spot, but I'd say Piku.
Yeah.
It was very special. There was something very, very special about the energy on that movie. And I feel like my sister and I are at that age now where we feel like we're Piku.
Yeah.
So just, I don't know, something about Piku is very, very special. And that's one of the movies that sort of keep coming up in conversation when I talk to people. They're like, we really like that movie, or like someone's been through that experience or going through that experience, or you know, lost a parent. And so there's a lot of that. I feel like maybe it's just the stage of life that I'm at now.
Yeah.
That seems to be my most favorite.
But just on that film, 1 second, how daunting was it? Because these are two experienced, like, powerhouses, right? And first I must say, you held your own against them. You were absolutely fantastic in that film. Whoever agrees, please give a round of applause, because you were fantastic. Like,
Koi shak?
koi nahi. Koi bhi nahi. How was it though? Did it get easier through the days, or?
No, I mean, like you said, I was just aware of the fact that I was going to be opposite these two incredible people. But I think what makes for great collaboration is when you're not competing with the, you know, with your co-stars. You're really genuinely invested in telling a good story. And I think that's what we were there to do. I don't think Irfan was trying to be one up on Mr. Bachchan, or he was trying to be one up on anyone. You know, it's just, it was a beautiful collaborative process, and I think we were all just invested in giving our best to the film.
Yeah.
And I was aware before I got into this that I was going to be with two of these most incredible actors. But that's that. I mean, when the camera's rolling, I'm not thinking of Mr. Bachchan. I'm thinking of the character that I'm opposite.
Yeah. I have to say that there were 3 master musicians at play, and it was a beautiful symphony that came out. So that was fantastic. Let's talk about jewelry, because that's core competence for a lot of people in this room. So do you remember, okay, it's a 2-part question. First is, when you were a child, do you remember the piece of jewelry that you really wanted, and you said, oh, when I make money or when I grow up, this is the first piece of jewelry I'll get?
For me, it's always been more sentimental and emotional than sort of looking at a hoarding or, you know, putting my finger on something and saying, this is what I want. So there were definitely pieces of jewelry, and my sister and I were discussing it this morning. There were definitely pieces of jewelry in our mother's locker that I had my eyes on. And I still have my eyes on.
Does your sister know about this? Does your sister?
Yeah, I mean, the good thing is I think our taste in that sense is slightly different. So that's the good thing. So I know that like eventually when the jewelry gets split between the two of us, I don't think we'll be scrambling and fighting. But yeah, there were definitely like pieces that you as a young girl, you see your mother getting ready, going out. And, she takes out her jewelry, she's deciding what to wear. And as a young girl, you're like, oh, that's beautiful. I hope I get that. Or I hope I get to wear that. Owning it. But I hope I get to wear that someday. So definitely pieces like that. And I think being a South Indian, definitely a lot of traditional South Indian craft in the jewelry, which is temple jewelry, which I absolutely love. That's very, very different from, say, jewelry from any other part of the world. And that's something I really enjoy wearing as well.
And do you remember the first piece of jewelry you bought when you started earning money?
Yes, I bought myself a pair of solitaires. Small.
Nice. Ah, look at that. That's the diamond table.
Very small. Large for me at that point. But yes, I remember buying myself a pair of solitaires.
Fantastic. Okay, before we wind up, I think people here want to know one thing about you that nobody knows. Give us something. Give us like one thing, something. Like you drink rasam straight from the katori or something. Just like we need something.
I drink rasam like this.
Oh, no.
See, that I love South Indian food and rasam rice, I'm sure everybody knows that. I revealed the fact that if I was not an actor or a badminton player, I'd love to be an interior designer. That I'm OCD, does anyone know that? Okay.
Somebody said, yeah, I am.
Yes, we know.
Somebody said, I am. Oh, you know that. Are you as well? Are you? No, you're not. Are you sure? Put her bag on the table. Let's see. Take it away from. Oh, she did. Well done.
That I'm very punctual. Does anyone know that? I'm punctual. Okay,
oh, they don't know.
Time management.
Time management.
Okay, I'm great with multitasking. I'm very good with time management, and my gut instinct is something I protect.
These are all nice, cool things she's saying.
Okay,
yeah.
fine. I'm a great. Okay, wait.
We were hoping for like something which makes you more human like us.
Do I win a hamper or no for this answer of mine?
There's no.
Okay, this bottle of water.
I'll give you a bottle of water. Yeah.
I'm a great baker. I bake really well.
Okay, now how do I argue with perfection? Right? Unfortunately, we can't find any imperfection in this perfection.
Tell me.
Like, are you clumsy? Like, do you drop food when you eat?
Oh yeah, all the time. I was known for this.
Yeah?
Like when I was small, and now she's going to start laughing. We never remembered restaurants based on, my family never remembered restaurants based on the name of the restaurant. It was the restaurant where Deepika dropped milkshake, the restaurant where Deepika dropped a fork, the restaurant where she spilled sweet corn soup on herself. So that's how we remembered restaurant names.
Nice. And I think that's how those restaurants are now advertising in Bangalore as well. This is where Deepika spilled soup, so please come and have some. Ladies and gentlemen, Deepika Padukone, a big round of applause, please. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Could we please have a big round of applause? Come on, you can be a little more generous in the applause, everybody. Didn't even make it till here. All right, I'd like to request Mr. Colin Shah, Chairman GJEPC, to please come up on stage. To join him, Mr. Sachin Jain, MD De Beers India, Mr. Somasundram PR, Regional CEO of India World Gold Council, Mr. Sriram Natarajan, Managing Director GIA on. Ladies and gentlemen, this is This is also all of you. Thank you so much for your time, your donations. Thank you so much for your generosity towards the foundation. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Could I request Mr. Colin to please stay